Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel where I will finally film a Jordan video for you guys. So I have been trying to film this video for so long. I tried to film this video several times and it didn't work out, and I'm sitting down now and I'm going to complete it. I'm going to complete this video. That's it. Alright. So Jordan, we spent about a month long in Jordan, and we arrived in the afternoon to Aqaba, which is kind of right on the Red Sea there, and we took a little local minibus up to where we were going to stay, which is the town of Petra. Now Petra is very famous for the archaeological site called Petra as well. So there's the archaeological site of Petra and then the new town of Petra, which is also known as Wadi Musa. Then there is the side area that was created called Little Petra. So I'll be referring to Petra where we stayed as the city of Petra, the newer city of Petra. And then when I talk about going to the archaeological site of Petra, I will distinguish that so you guys are aware. But yes, the area of Petra is where we stayed for the month. And we were going to stay in a camp that was in the desert right outside of Petra. And we were going to be helping to do events. So the camp hosts events. It also hosted people in tents at their site as well, but there would be groups of people that would come in and they would have these events more in the evening, and it was really cool. We did get to witness one event happen at that camp, and they lit up some of the rocks around the area with some light, but that was really pretty. And I also got to get some henna on the back of my hand here, which was really cool as well. And we got to see some traditional dancing, and the event that we got to see was really awesome. Unfortunately, a lot of the events that were supposed to be there and a lot of the people that were supposed to come stay at the camp ended up canceling. We actually ended up leaving the camp not very long after arriving, just because there wasn't a lot happening. So we ended up going over to stay with a friend of the owner of the camps at a hostel that was in the city of Petra. And there we got to help out with the front desk. We got to answer questions and check people in, assign rooms. I loved meeting all the different people from all over the world. And then of course we also got to visit the archaeological site of Petra. Now the archaeological site of Petra is a really big site. So you can go in and buy a pass to go to the site, and you can buy a 1-day pass or a 2-day pass, or I think a 3-day pass is the maximum. And they recommend at least doing a 2-day pass if you have the time for it. Now, if you are only going to do a 1-day pass, you either need to be super fast and super fit because there's a lot of stairs, or you need to kind of pick and choose what you actually are aiming to see. Now, the treasury of Petra is kind of the epitome of what you're trying to see there, and it is something that you see mostly right away. So if you only have 1 day, you will definitely see the treasury, and then everything else on top of that is kind of the icing on the cake. But I would definitely recommend looking up the site and seeing kind of what areas of interest you would be interested in, and then you can kind of map your route based on the time that you have. Now, because we had 2 days that we could see the site for, we just kind of decided to wing what we were gonna see, but divide the site into 2 different halves. So we would do 1 half the first day and 1 half the second day. And we would just hit everything that we were able to hit in that amount of time, which worked out really well. We saw everything that we wanted to see and then some. And we just got to kind of take it in too. It gave us a little bit of leisure time, which was really nice as well, to just kind of feel like you were inside the site instead of, you know, running around to the different sites and trying to make sure that you saw it all so that you didn't miss anything. Now, words of advice for visiting Petra is that obviously the recommended 2 days is really good advice, at least for me, somebody who, you know, wanted to experience the site but also wanted time to like let it sink in and be there and make sure that I saw everything that I wanted to see. And I am not super fit, so walking up and down the stairs did take a little bit of time. We did do some breaks and stuff like that. We did have people at the hostel though go, I saw everything in 1 day, like I'm good, like I don't know why you would need more than 1 day. And it's like, whoa, this place is huge. By the way, I will put how big it is right here because I have no idea how big it is, but it's very big. So beyond that, make sure that you take in some water. You're able to take in food and water, and we definitely recommend doing both if you're able to. Otherwise, you're gonna need to pay for water once you're there, and that's just never fun because it's very expensive and all the food is kind of expensive too. But of course you can eat there if you don't end up picking anything up on the way in. They don't, you know, exclude you from bringing in food and beverage, so you're welcome to bring in all your own stuff, which I would definitely recommend. I would also recommend not only seeing the treasury, but going up to the viewpoint and looking down at the treasury. It was my absolute favorite part of being in the entire archaeological site, was going up to the viewpoint. Now, to get to this viewpoint, it's not as straightforward as just going to the right and then there's stairs up, just like there is to the left side. It's more that you have to continue almost all the way around and then up. So it does take quite a bit of time to get up to that viewpoint, but it is completely worth it, and you get to see more of the archaeological site while you're walking. So if you're planning to do that anyway, just include it in your schedule. And the last tip that I'll talk about when you're at the archaeological site of Petra is to make sure that when you go up to see the monastery, which, assuming that you are going to see the monastery, you want to make sure that you go to the viewpoint there as well. That one is absolutely incredible, and it was my second favorite thing in the entirety of the site. So the monastery is much higher elevation than the actual floor of the archaeological site. So you have to walk up, I think it's 850 steps to get to where you go to see the monastery up on the top. Now, after you walk up those steps, you get to the monastery, there is another tea shop slash, I think they have sandwiches and stuff there as well. So if you're completely winded, feel free to take a seat at the tea shop. You could get something to drink or eat, or pull out anything that you have in your bag and just sit and relax and enjoy the view of looking straight at the monastery right in front of you. It is incredible, and it allows you to catch your breath, which I thought was very necessary for me. Now, behind the tea shop, there's a couple large rocks, and one of them I'm sure you'll see people will be climbing up. And you kind of have to walk back a little bit, but you'll see people walking up this kind of smaller hill, rock hill, and that's where you're gonna wanna go for that viewpoint. And on one side you get to, of course, look down and see that monastery, and then also you have this vast view kind of off to the right where you can just kind of see all these different rocks, and I think you might be able to see Petra, the modern city, in the background. But then if you turn around and look behind you, since you are up on a hill, you have kind of a 360 view, and on the other side of the viewpoint you have this vast scene in front of you of what looks like the entirety of the rest of the world, but you are just in fact looking out onto Wadi Musa, the actual desert in front of you. It is incredible, and it is completely worth all the time that it takes to get up there, and it is totally worth it. I can't even express how worth it that view was. Now, after we wrapped up our time at the hostel in Petra, we had 2 nights that we were able to stay in Amman, the major city in Jordan. We chose to spend that time touring around Amman for 1 day, and then we had our flight out the next day. So we were able to kind of see some shops. We ate some giant burgers. They were crazy big. They were like as big as our heads. And then we got to see a Roman forum and a Roman amphitheater that was just chilling in the middle of Amman. It was just really cool to go from Italy, seeing the Colosseum and all these other ruins, and then going over to Jordan in the Middle East, but then still seeing these Roman ruins. It was a really interesting kind of perspective of just how far the Romans traveled around and built stuff. It was very cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed our time in Jordan. It was definitely very different than anything I've ever experienced before. The Middle East in general, I think, is a place I've never been to, so it was definitely the most culture shock that I've experienced so far. The language was different, the culture was different, the land was different, the smells were different. It was just very different, and it was very interesting to experience a place that was just so different to me after so much travel that I've done in my life. To have a place just really feel completely foreign to me was kind of a unique experience, and I just appreciated the fact that we were in a different place. But yeah, there you have it. That was my Jordan video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm super excited to start coming out with my England videos for you guys and not keep you guys waiting just like I did with this one. Sorry about that. I'm glad you guys are still with me. Anyway, until next time, safe travels, everybody.